Okay, so I spent several minutes trying to explain this, but anyway, here's my video. I probably won't share, but I might share unlisted to a couple people. I'm just trying to out loud wrap up and summarize some of what I am coming to understand more consciously, and I'm trying to process this out loud before my brain goes unconscious again, because I'm feeling better than I was a few days ago. But a few days ago, I was really going to the depths. I need to stop saying words that I can't pronounce. Going into the deep parts of processing and understanding my own self patterns around how I respond to negative emotion. And I've been processing how the cycle and the pattern of how I process negative emotion, but more importantly and what's more new for me is really understanding why I have experience negative emotion on a really frequent basis, and I'm understanding this sort of vicious cycle between how I'm having small hits of negative emotion and then pushing those away, and then not really understanding some of these slightly bigger fears and conflicts that start to build up, let's say every few months. And it's basically what I have, the pieces I have so far, and I'm still fitting them together, still processing, and I am still kind of narrowing and summarizing these down, because a lot of these pieces kind of line up together, but I'm seeing bits and pieces from different angles. Okay, enough abstract. I'm just noticing in many small situations, most of the time I don't notice the feelings. Most of the time I don't notice. If I'm generally feeling good, then I just won't notice, but it's, I say something and I don't get a positive response from another person, or I don't get a very positive response and it's my best friend or it's my partner, especially. What I'm resolving really shows up for me in my relationships and sometimes in my close friendships. Here are the pieces. I'm really building my life, my sort of sense of self. I find that my sense of self I'm building it closely tied to the important people to me, the important people in my life, the people who are really close to me, and I'm spending time with them on a frequent basis. I build myself really close to these people, and it's really great. But I'm seeing how I'm still relying on them for my perception of what is important, what matters, and decisions and perceptions based on feeling. The more that I'm processing this, the more it becomes abstract, and I'm like, can it please be a little more tangible? But it's something. If I can be more vulnerable, I might share more specific examples, but even though this is an unlisted video, I can't seem to share those vulnerable examples. So anyway, I carry on. I am trying to summarize this, and that does make it abstract as well. I seem to depend on the people around me, the closest people around me, to ground my sense of what matters. And that's kind of a big thing. But what I'm noticing is on a very small scale, when I judge the value and the sort of rightness, in a feeling sense, the rightness of my words and my actions based on the reactions of the people whose opinion I care most about. And I do this sort of automatically with my parents, but I'm trying to move on from my parents, and I place more of that value in my best friends and my partners. And if they have a thought that concerns me, or they have a reaction that concerns me, I don't just read heavily, but I draw heavily from anything I can perceive from them about their opinion, their reaction to me. I'm not as sensitive or anxious about this as I used to be. And this used to be a really difficult thing for me, because I was extremely dependent on, therefore extremely vulnerable to, whatever reaction or opinion came from my best friends or my partners. The sort of people that I let into this little field of like, well, this field is where I'm drawing my value of like, what matters to me, and what's right. And it's like I'm not building that in myself. I'm when I pay attention, like that's where I'm paying attention to feeling is the most. And it is not just my partners and my best friends though. So it's like the stupid example I already gave is like it's showing up in traffic where people that I can't even see. I'm judging the fairness, the correctness, the kindness, or something. I am feeling like I'm experiencing feelings based on how I think I'm operating in traffic and at work and in the store, and it's kind of ridiculous. It's not that I shouldn't care about all my fellow humans, but it's just so automatic, and I'm tired of it being unconscious because I will actually have these small hits of negative emotion when I'm in traffic of and I'm not I don't want to assert myself because of that. I'm too sensitive to assert myself because of that. And it's I've started training myself to have little bits. Okay, so because I know that if I can't honk my horn when I need to, that's a safety concern when driving. So I've trained myself to honk the horn more responsibly if someone cuts over me, and it's like I can do that because it's like, oh, that person wronged me. But what I'm noticing is if I do something in traffic that I feel is a little bit unfair to the drivers around me, I will feel bad. And not just like I'll notice like, oh, maybe that wasn't the nicest thing. Like I'll actually feel bad. And that goes for lots of other things. If I feel like I was being unfair, never mind that I thought about why I wanted to do that thing and I wanted to, like, if I feel like I stepped out of line somewhere, then I feel bad. And my own feeling about it doesn't really get a seat, doesn't really get a place. I remember it's just me being like a timid person, and it's just like, it's a general thing. It's like, it's me not wanting to deal with conflict. Like, I don't want to, like, the fear is like, the pain is not, oh no, I was unfair to that person. It's like, but that might be the thought. Like, there's the feeling, which is like just negative emotion. And then there's the thought of like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. And it's like, but why? And it's like, well, what if we play with the theme of just conflict avoidance? Like, I know that I already know, my partners already know that I avoid negative emotion, I avoid conflict, and I take it hard. I take it hard when I do have the conflict. And it seems to be there's sort of a cycle of I'm conflict avoidant because I don't trust myself to handle the conflict well. And when I do have conflict, I'm really mean to myself about it. And I'm mean to myself in the sense that I process the situation and understand what happened, and then I'm mean to myself about, well, I should have done this, taken the steps to prevent this situation from happening. And it's like, why am I so mean to myself about preventing this situation from happening? It's because I don't want to be in that situation. I don't want to be in that situation because I don't want to feel these negative emotions. But that cycle continues because I don't take care of those emotions. I don't take within my own self. I don't depend on my own self to hold space, for those emotions, to exist with them, and then to decide how much they matter to focus on and to hold on to. And I'm really learning this from Olivia, when he seems to have, seems to have lead FI. I see her and I talk to her and understand, and I get a better picture of what she's doing, and she will have a negative emotion, and then she will have space for it, and she will bring it into a conversation if that's necessary, and then she will let go of it and move on. And it's like, how? And it's like, well, she decides that. Like, she decides to she's deciding what matters, because like that's deciding what matters is an internal dialogue with self. It's an internal process, and it's a refined process from time and experience, and it has other inputs, and it's like, I'm not doing that. I'm not trusting myself to decide what matters, even just to me, let alone what matters in the space of other people. So I'm noticing that I'm having a hard time resolving negative emotion. I'm having a hard time even trying to, but when I try to, I tend to have a hard time not jumping into making sense of it and explaining. And it's like, yes, make sense of it, yes, explain it, yes, contextualize it, but that doesn't address the feeling itself. And looking for other people, even the people I can depend on who are close to me, to help me contextualize and place the emotions where they go, and decide if they matter. It's like, that works, it helps, but it doesn't help by itself. It means I'm leaning on people, and I might be able to resolve it once or one time. It's like, oh, hey, talk to my best friend, talk to my partner. Hey, I can process out loud. Hey, I felt bad because I was a little bit unsafe while driving. I'm gonna keep bringing that up, but this is a regular everyday thing. So, and it doesn't happen, and I do have feelings about it. And it's like, I can be reassured, and it's like, hey, like, it's okay. Like, here's why, and like, you don't. It's okay. Like, I can get reassurance for that. I can talk it out. I can get reassurance, and that can be okay. But then, what I'm trying to process and explain in this video is that before now, the next time that happened, I wouldn't be solving the underlying problem. I wouldn't be building an underlying value structure in myself of like, yeah, it's like where I had the ability to decide and understand and separate, like, well, what about this time, and what about this time, and it's like, I'm uncomfortable again because I did something that I felt like was rude to someone else, and it's like, I don't know, like, I'm learning that I can do that. Like, I'm learning to pay attention to that process, and the more that I can pay attention to that process, and I'm paying attention to that process because I'm paying attention to, okay, I'm watching myself. I'm in more, like, right after it happens, I'm seeing that I want the other person to resolve my emotion, to resolve my feeling, but that doesn't always work, and it doesn't work. It's not a very deep solution, and in the last few days I've been processing, like, how much am I really doing this? Like, how much am I really, all my actions and all my words are bent. They're bent one way, and that one way is, I will work, I will do things, I will get things done, and I will be agreeable, and I will listen, and all of it is because I don't want to have a conflict with you. I don't want to think about how you're feeling about me, how you think, how you feel about what I'm doing. I don't want you to question what I'm doing. I don't want to explain a feeling or an action to you. I don't want to explain something I can't explain. I don't want to be in a position where I can't explain myself to you. Because if you tell me that I'm wrong, I'll believe you, and I'll restructure my decision-making framework and my sense of how I'm doing what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. I will restructure that if you question it, and that's going to hurt a lot. And so I don't want to do that, because I want to do my things. I want to do my things and make my decisions and figure out who I am in a safe space where I'm not getting shoved around too much, because I won't be settled anywhere, and I can't be settled if I'm being questioned and shoved around. And that questioning and the shoving comes when there's conflict, and that's the sort of real discomfort, is like, emotions are moving around, and all I know to do is jump to like, okay, how did I get here? How did I make these decisions? And it's like, no, it's a whole different game. It's a whole different process. Like, sit and just like experience the feeling itself. And maybe so I'm not doing that enough. And then ask what I'm feeling and what matters to me, and incorporate that question and the answer it brings into the conversation about why I'm doing what I'm doing, or why and how. Like, I'm always asking how. Like, how did this happen? How do I get out of this? How do I fix this? How do I do this right? And it's like, but why? Like, does it matter? Like, what matters? And it's like, do I need to do as much as I'm doing to be happy? And it's like, if I do as much as I do to avoid conflict and to make sure that I'm always being liked by my partners and by everyone that I interact with, if I'm always making sure that everybody likes me by doing a lot of shit, and then I'm gonna be pretty fragile when I get questioned on what I'm doing. It's like, hey man, it's like, I'm just trying to avoid conflict. So if you question what I'm doing, that feels like a conflict. And not only does it feel like a conflict, it feels like all this work that I did to avoid a conflict happening was not enough. So I feel like not enough. And it's like, maybe I can sit with emotion more, and maybe I can trust that me and my friendships and relationships will survive a conflict. And they'll survive a conflict because I don't get completely freaked out, and because me doing something or saying something wrong isn't going to break everything. It's not going to lead to a slippery slope. It's not going to I'm running out of steam here. But it's like, it's not gonna make me stuck. I can get things done, but I can also listen, and it's like, most of this I was already paying attention to. I already knew, but it's like, what's different is that is not just that I'm noticing that I have feelings and that those matter to pay attention to, but I'm learning that I think what I'm really trying to process is I can integrate the practice of paying attention to feelings in order to really mine and sort of find out what matters to me, or what I think is right. I think that's the big thing. It's not just what matters to me. It's mattering in general. It's like, what is the right response to a situation or to a conflict? What matters in this given scenario? What matters? And giving that language, because for me it was always just feeling before, and now it's like, it's not just feeling. If I can integrate as my sense of what I care about and what I think matters into my ability to explain the what and how, and because I'm realizing, like, the how and the explaining is an inherently vocal thing, is an inherently lingual thing, and feeling and mattering and tone is not. So it's like, without that integration, I actually can't tell you about what matters to me. I can't tell you what I like and what I want and what I care about if I can't integrate my ability to explain with my ability to provide reasons with that feeling. I don't know if I can say much more here, but I'm not having that process. It's like, it's crazy to me. I'm just seeing how much not having this process of knowing what matters to me and what I care about has this, like, makes my compass always wrong. So I'm like always setting myself up for more conflict. I'm always setting myself up to avoid that conflict, and then build up these little ways. I'm not gonna say it's a big tidal wave, but it's like still building up a deficit that I have to, building up a debt I have to pay off somehow or deal with somehow. And I'm just seeing how, okay, like if that loop is there, I'm just kind of always sending myself off the path, always, I'm getting into trouble that way, and or even just draining myself. And just by paying attention to this and giving myself a more direct access to what I'm feeling, I can prevent and solve a lot of conflicts way quicker because I can deal with a lot of small situations where I felt bad for what I did for something or what I didn't do, and I can be like, well, that it doesn't matter, or it doesn't matter more than this much. It matters. I can decide how much each thing matters to me, how much I need to care. I can decide how much to care about a given thought or an idea or a situation. Give it that space, and then move on and go to the next thing. And this really unlocks the door to achieving some sense of priorities throughout my day. And I think it's still, all this processing is still like super disorganized, but the concepts are kind of coming together, and more importantly, I'm able to pay attention to just be more mindful of how I'm going about my day each day, at work, at home, in my relationships, and my chores. It's like, because this whole conflict avoidance thing is huge, and it drives a lot of how I spend my time and my attention. So we'll probably have more to process soon, but that's all for now.